Hi, everyone. This is Don Famularo again, and this is so great to have this opportunity here for Mapex, our all-access show that we do every Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it gives me a chance to really, step into the world of these great, great drummers that Mapex has. There are so many great, great drummers, young, talented drummers, and so many mature players that we are able to meet. And it's really, these companies that we are involved with, there's people behind them, and it's those people that create the opportunity for all these great artists to be joined in as a family. And today, sadly enough, we lost an extremely powerful force in the drumming industry. The great Ralph Peterson passed away. And Ralph was just what a great guy at so many levels. And I had the chance to perform with Ralph about a year and a half ago before COVID hit in the UK for the big UK drum show. We had 1,000 people there, and Ralph and I performed. I did my thing. We hung out together. We did a panel together, and Ralph was just so full of incredible knowledge and passion for playing this instrument. And what's amazing about it is that Ralph really, listen, he performed with Branford Marsalis and Ron Carter and Michael Brecker. These are the greats of the industry that Ralph was there with, and just really was an incredibly dedicated, artist at many different levels. But here's what's interesting about Ralph Peterson. He was handpicked as a young drummer by the great Art Blakey. Art Blakey was just an incredible seer of future talent. And listen, Winston Marsalis, all these great players that came out of the Art Blakey band went on to have long careers, as was Ralph Peterson. And Ralph would sub for Art and come in here and play some tunes. And I can remember going to clubs years ago and going to see Art Blakey play, and Art then announcing this young drummer going to come in and sit in. And he'd come in and introduce Ralph Peterson, who at the time was maybe 17, 18, maybe the oldest 19 years old in his teens. And I would be there just blown away by Ralph's ability of being able to sit in on Art's drums and just wail away and play and just swing that band to the highest level. He ended up putting together a CD of the Jazz Messenger Legacy, the alumni from Art's band, which is a phenomenal CD, which I ask you all to go check out. And of course, all of his years as a professor at Berkeley College University up in Boston. Ralph will sorely be missed. He really has pushed his influence through the performance field and through the education field to the incredible great students that he taught, and pursued, just an energy that was magical that only Ralph could do. So we will miss Ralph Peterson. But what I ask right now is for just a moment of silence, because even though this is going to be recorded and performed, it's live right now, what I ask is the fact that in the future years, when people hear me speaking about this great artist on this video that will eventually go to Mapex's Facebook page or also to Mapex's YouTube channel, when they hear the name Ralph Peterson, I want you to do the homework and research who this great artist was and how much he has given to us and how much his great talent will continue to give to us. So for that, I ask for a moment of silence in the name of the late, great Ralph Peterson. Thank you so much. Ralph, you will be missed, but you sure as hell won't be forgotten. That's for sure. Well, today I get a chance to bring on some incredible young talent that comes from an incredible musical family, and I want you to meet him and get to know him. So would you please welcome, as I bring in here, Mr. Remy Williams. Bring it on in, Remy. How are you, Remy?
I'm fantastic. How about you, Don?
I am great, Remy. Listen, it's fantastic to have this time with you, Remy. You've got this incredible story that I want this to be shared with the Mapex story of as we do these each week. And I start out by saying, listen, you were real young playing drums at an early age, influenced by your dad. So I want to kind of go back to those early days and let everyone kind of learn about you and get to know about that influence that you had from your dad.
Awesome. My father was the bass player for the OJs. He was also a studio musician for Gamble and Huff. He played on, his discography is crazy. He played on Ain't No Stopping Us Now by McFadden and Whitehead.
Yeah.
He played with Sister Sledge, Patti LaBelle, Turn Off the Lights, Love TKO. I mean, the list goes on. He is definitely a legend in the game, and he's the reason why I pursued music. I remember being in his studio, and he would have this little metronome on, and he had like these octapads. And I remember just sitting on the drums, and I think he was playing a Montel Jordan song. And it just came naturally to me to start playing drums. And he said, he turned it off. He said, I want you to play to this metronome. And I started playing. And at first I was just terrible. I was like, I cannot get it. He said, once you get it, if you stick with it, he was like, you'll never have to worry about not getting paid. He's like, you will always get paid. He said, you keeping time will always have money in your pocket. Yeah. So that always stuck with me. So yeah, that's my father.
That's great advice. And, those tunes that you're mentioning, I mean, these are deep groove tunes that the bass on that, your dad, Remy Williams, man, I remember that band, man, for sure. Yeah. And the groove and how he would lay down time and the feel. Sister Sledge, give me a break. That's freaking great groove.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, the things that he thought of is just like, I mean, his mind was just, he's out of here. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a legend. I can't take that away from him.
Well, that's so fantastic that you had that level of influence. And your mom was a singer too, right?
Yes. My mother, she was a church singer. She was in the choir. And I mean, she served the church like she was gung-ho for the church. So, but I mean, her voice was incredible as well. So I'm also a singer as well. And that's where I get my vocals from. My dad sings too, but I mean, I feel like I get it from her. So.
Well, we'll talk about that, because not only do you sing on top of playing drums great, but you're also composing too, which is a whole nother skill base that I want everyone to get to know too. So, but let's just go back to the drumming part of it. So here you are now, you're playing, you're starting to play, you're jamming. So did you start, was the church the first kind of performance opportunity you had?
Yes, it was. I went to a church in Philly called For Memorial, and there, I mean, all the greats went there. I mean, Daryl Robinson played there. Yeah. Spanky George McCurdy played there. It's like, if it was one of those kind of churches, if you were not good, you ever got that little bump off of the drums, like, no, I got you, don't worry about it. That was that church. So you would get a chance to play an offering, and it's like, okay, here's my chance to get it right. And if you get it right, it's like you got it right. It's like, okay, cool, you get another chance, and you just learn. You just sit there and just watch on the side as far as what they're doing, their placement, timing, and I mean, that's what got me to this point now, to be the drummer I am today. So,
boy, so you came from was Camden, New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But you'd go over to the Philly church.
Yes.
Listen, so the Philly, there's some Philly drummers that are out of control.
Out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I was born and raised in Camden, New Jersey, but as far as music, I have to say that's where that's where I learned everything. Literally everything. I mean, and of course they would have sheds in New Jersey, but as far as just the style, how to play, what placement, timing, I mean, I have to give it up for Philly. They definitely made me the drummer I am. So
how great. So you go on. Were you taking any lessons at all as a young kid? Were you practicing? What was it like at that time?
Yes, I went to Settlement School. It's a school in New Jersey. I forgot the name of it. But I went there a few times. My dad was upset because I didn't finish, and I really wish I did. So I know how to read a little bit of drum music, but not that much. Yeah. But yeah, I went there for about, I think, a year, and after that, it was I just did my own thing. I'm like, oh, I just, I'll go to sheds, I'll do this, I'll do that. So
yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. It's never too late to learn to understand reading music. It's actually, not that difficult to pick up, especially at the playing level that you're at now. A lot of the music is just associating what's on that paper with what you're already doing.
Yes.
So a lot of that comes out of that too. But I mean, that's fantastic. So When was the first? So did you start jamming with bands? What was the first band you started to jam with and play together with? Was anything outside the church?
Yes. I played with actually a couple artists. The first artist I played for when I was in New Jersey, her name was April Monet. She was a gospel artist, and we toured and we traveled and all over New Jersey, playing at different churches. And she gave me the chance to really play as a professional musician for an artist outside of church, and it was amazing. I mean, and then after that, it was just a snowball effect. I went to college, and then I moved to Atlanta. And after that, India Shawn, she's an amazing artist. She gave me an opportunity to go on tour with her, and we opened up for an artist by the name of Rory. And after that tour was over, I was introduced to Jimmy Cravity by her. And from Jimmy Cravity, it was another artist, Saint Beauty. From Saint Beauty, I now got introduced to Summer Walker by my friend Alex Jock. And it was a quick audition, play parts, that timing. And they said, well, welcome to the team. So
well, let's go back a little. So with April Monet, how old were you then at that time?
I believe I was probably 17 or 18.
So about 17 or 18. And you start traveling, throughout the nation? Is that what it was? You were traveling throughout the states?
Well, we would go to, we would play around the city, and then we would play in like Delaware, maybe Trenton, New Jersey, but just in the tri-state area. Yeah.
So and you're young, and how were you traveling? You guys are traveling just in cars or just going and setting up?
Just car. And sometimes we would have to bring our equipment, or the church may have the equipment, but yeah, we would just definitely drive by car.
So here you are, you go into a church, you walk in, and they have whatever equipment there, you've got to play it. How was the equipment? Was the equipment good for the most part? Or?
It just depends. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes the church, they may have it going on where the drum sets are amazing. It's like, okay, cool. And then you just walk in some churches and it's like, okay, I mean, it is what it is. I got to see what I can do. I have my snare, so I see what I can do. And you just make it work. So,
well, there's a lot of experience that comes from that. When you have to play on different drum sets in different rooms, and you're put under the gun that way, so to speak, there's some skills you have to learn on how to make it work, and you've got to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely put me in some positions where it's like, okay, I know how I'm going to have to play tonight. Sometimes the heads may be, extremely old and they're out of tune. You can't. It's like there's no way. It's nothing I could do. And so tonight is going to be a pocket night. It's going to just be a great pocket night. I'm not going to do any no crazy feels. It is what it is.
Well, that's the school of hard knocks. That's where you really kind of have to learn what it's like to adapt. When we can have our own drums and we can have our own setup the way it is, that's an ideal setup. A lot of times it's just not like that, and you've got to really kind of like learn how to make it work, with whatever you have. How interesting.
Absolutely.
So April Monet, then you went to India Shawn, and what was that? Was that like a different type of music?
Yes. India Shawn, she's an R&B artist, R&B soul artist. Amazing voice, amazing talent. And we went on a tour with Rory. He's an amazing artist as well. And that was my first, I'll say that was my first official tour. And we traveled out of the States. Well, we traveled out of Atlanta. We went pretty much everywhere, LA, Florida, you name it, we were there. But I think that from that time for me I learned more than just about playing drums. I learned about being on time for that early call when you got to, get ready to go to the next state, rehearsal, learning your music before rehearsal, knowing all the parts, Not doing too much, learning the artist. That was a really good experience. It was a really good experience.
So
Yeah.
this is what I like to call, now you're putting your big boy pants on. Now all of a sudden,
Yes.
now the business side of what's happening, and now you're starting to see this. This is how a professional, situation works. At that
Yeah.
level. So that's really, really magical. So with that, now you're traveling. Are you driving and or flying at this time? If you're going to LA and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. We were driving and flying. So we were doing we rented a van, but then of course when we went to places, if we had to go from LA to Canada or something like that, we will fly.
Yeah.
Or LA to San Francisco, we will fly. But yeah, those lobby calls are so important because it can mess up everything and you can get fired.
Oh,
Of course.
listen, a lobby call at 6 a.m. so you can get everyone together to hop into the bus, to get to the, from the hotel to get to the airport, and then to get to the airport and get all the luggage on, get everything checked in. Make sure you check. Listen, there are times where this is what people, understand about being a professional. That you got to, man, this gets serious now.
Yeah, yeah. It's business. It's bigger than just playing drums. It's bigger than just your talent. And I believe that talent is only a small portion of what you can offer or what you had to offer when you're dealing with an artist. If you're touring with an artist, it's really the business side. It's like, can you be on time for rehearsal? Can you learn and play your parts, not just play around the music? And also, I just had it. Can you build a friendship, a family with the band? Are you going to be a problem? How's your character? Are you easy to work with?
Yeah.
And those are big things that matter while touring with artists. So that was the big experience for me on that tour.
That's huge because when you're traveling at this level, you really become a second family. And
Yeah.
do you want to be the person that's fun to be with and keeps the energy level high? Or do you want to be an anchor on someone's, leg that's just kind of dragging them down? That's a decision that we have to make as professionals to see where we fit in. How long were you with Indiana Sean?
I was with India for about, I believe it was about 4 or 5 years. I know she moved to LA, and after that, things kind of separated.
Yeah.
But then it was perfect because around that time, that's when I started playing with Jimmy Gravity and Saint Beauty. And she opened up the doors for those opportunities to play with not just her, but just for many artists. So
from India, how did the door open up for Jimmy?
So India and Jimmy worked close together. Jimmy is a gospel artist, and she was on his project. She sang background for his project. And a friend of mine, the one I talked to you about earlier, Alex Jock, he's a keyboard player, an amazing keyboard player. I play with him a lot. And like we were talking about, when you build those relationships, it's like you want to have the same team sometimes. So it was an opening slot. He said, "Hey man, what are you doing so and so day?" I'm like, "I'm free." I pull up to the rehearsal. Boom! It's like, okay, cool. We have the gig. So we did a couple dates and we did a couple tours. So that was amazing. The same thing. He played for Saint Beauty as well. He was the MD for Saint Beauty.
Yeah.
And same thing happened. "Hey, what are you doing? Are you free?" "Yeah." "All right, cool."
How wonderful to have that ability to be able to network and meet people and keep on growing forward the way you have, and as you continue now. Who were you, in those early days, who were you listening to? What music were you listening to?
Of course, I think every musician listens to Chick Corea. Every musician. I listen to a lot of Stevie Wonder, James Brown.
Nice.
I listen to a lot of James Brown. Me starting out, just learning about Pocket. I remember I would ask, Little Daryl and all those guys. I'm like, what should I listen to? What do you guys listen to?
Yeah.
My guy Jay, he was like, just go home and just sit down and just listen to the drummer from James Brown. and I would just sit there, and his groove is so crazy.
Well, there were actually two drummers with James Brown.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like two drummers. So when you're saying to listen to the groove, that's actually powerful what you're saying, because these two drummers played the groove as if it was one drummer. James Brown wanted that big sound. And I had the chance of interviewing Clyde Stubblefield and Jabbo Starks, the two drummers from James Brown. And if people go to the Sessions panel is on YouTube. It's a fantastic interview site. And on there, I interview Jabbo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield. And it was just so great to have them both. It was actually the last interview that they both did together shortly before they passed away. And boy, that's a great influence, because these two guys, Jabbo and Clyde, influenced everybody.
Crazy.
Everyone. You talk about, players like David Garibaldi or Steve Gadd or Vinny Colaiuta. Like Billy Cobb. I mean, all these guys were phenomenally influenced by them. So James Brown. So who else were you listening to?
I listened to a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, man.
A lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Their groove, it was so locked in.
Freddie White.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, one of the what
crazy.
Deep pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the OJs. I mean, that's a given. I had no choice. And of course, I listened to a lot of gospel artists. One of the gospel artists that I listened to a lot when I was younger was Ty Tribbett. I mean, of course, he's from home. He's the hometown.
Yeah.
I listened to Music Soul Child, just as far as, of course, singing, and The Roots. I listened to The Roots
from Philly, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the list it's a pretty long list. It's a pretty long list. So
that's fantastic. So it's kind of, you mentioned Chick Corea. What was it about Chick Corea that, and again, we just lost Chick Corea just a month or so ago. Yeah. What was it about Chick Corea that influenced you or that excited you about his music?
It was the timing, the different time signatures. It was something that you can study. It wasn't something that it's not something that you'll hear on the radio, but for me, it's like, they were so different from everybody else, and it made you want to practice. It's like, it made me feel like, okay, clearly I need to work on this, because 4/4 timing is not the only timing that I just want to have. You know what I mean? So just putting some headphones on and just shedding to them, but not just chopping over it, but it's just actually learning the parts. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really pushed me to be a better drummer. So,
boy, and Chick had some great drummers. I mean, I returned to Forever early on days with Lenny White, who incredible. And then into Steve Gadd, and then on to Dave Weckl and Vinny Colaiuta, and all these great drummers that went on to play with Chick. Was pretty powerful. And Roy Haynes and Chick himself was an excellent drummer.
Really?
Chick was an excellent drummer. Go back to YouTube and type in Chick Corea on drums, and be prepared to be blown away by how great he played.
Yeah, check that out.
Oh man, just fantastic. Boy, that's so good. Boy, so you got some really great influence that you're going on listening to. Were there any specific, if I asked you to name me your top 5 drummers, alive or dead, Remy, who you think would be your top 5 that would influence you, or you really kind of learned from their playing?
Oh man, I knew this question was coming. Oh man, I love the way Stanley Randolph plays.
Wow.
I remember listening to him play. I think it was live at the O2 with Stevie Wonder, and I'm like, who is this?
Yeah.
His groove is crazy. A good friend of mine, Carlin White, Mapex, of course, but he's amazing. Who else? You said top 3 or top 5?
Top 5.
Top 5.
I'm gonna pull this out of you.
Okay. Vinny Colaiuta.
Vinny. Woo! We only have to say his first name. Vinny.
Vinny. Chris Dave.
What? Chris. Not only is he a great drummer, but he has got the funniest sense of humor. If you follow him on Instagram, he finds
I do.
the funniest stuff. I mean, it's hysterical.
Mhm.
One more. Who would you say?
My brother John Lawson,
Really?
Jay Lawson.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he plays. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays. He's from Philly. He's amazing. Yeah, he's really good.
Wow.
He's the one who really he taught me. Between him and Spank, they were the ones who really sat down and taught me groove. I mean, of course you have the tempo and you have pocket, but put sauce on it. Put something on it, make it, you know.
But your influence and your groove is just so deep, and what I've heard from you on YouTube and stuff like that is just so wonderful to hear. I mean, you really have the respect for the pocket.
Yes,
it's deep, and you know how to kind of play inside the music for the music.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, because when I'm playing for an artist, it's not about me. I just try to look at the whole picture. It's like, of course, it's me, and I have 3 or 4 other musicians playing. So I'm not trying to overdo it. It's like I want to work. I want us to gel as a unit. So I want to paint a picture. What is the song saying? For Summer, she has a song called Body, and it's like you can't go for blood on that song. You know what I mean? It's what kind of emotion is it pulling out? You know, so.
Well, that's a great point. So how did you? So after Jimmy Gravity, where'd you go from there? Was DeMar Jackson next at all, or who?
It was DeMar Jackson. We did it. We had a couple dates, but it wasn't like an official. We didn't do any tours or anything like that. So I would say after Jimmy, it was Saint Beauty.
Interesting.
They were. I was with them for a couple years.
And then where from there? You know,
from Saint Beauty, I still play for Summer Walker.
So Summer Walker still, and you're now with Summer Walker now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So where did Nicole Ray come in?
So Nicole Ray came in. She came in when I first moved to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta in about I think 2013, October 2013. And what was crazy was I didn't even know it was Nicole Ray. It was an audition that I saw. And I'm like, I'm new to Atlanta. Let me just check it out and see what it's about. It said, here, we're doing a quick Canadian tour. It's about, I think it's like a month tour. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it. And it was Nicole Ray. And we played all over Canada. Actually, that was my first time going to Canada. And that was a pretty good experience too.
And listen, Canada is a pretty big country.
Yes.
It's actually, Canada is 10 times the landmass of America with 1/10 the population. So here you are traveling all throughout Canada. What kind of experience was that, playing in Canada and going to a whole other country?
Oh man, I loved it. The people, I love the energy. When you get on, what was the festival? I think it was a jazz festival, and I remember looking out in the crowd, and they don't care about what you have on. Yeah. They don't care they don't really care about how you sound. It's just the energy.
Yeah.
I love their energy when, performing in front of them. I love it. So Canada always will have a place in my heart. So
how magical, really, really magical. Jacob Lattimore, where did he fit in?
Jacob Lattimore, he came to Atlanta. We had a couple shows with him. My guy Drew, he threw a couple shows. He has an event called R&B Untapped, and he hired myself and a couple other musicians, and we played with him for a couple shows. That was pretty cool too.
Well, that's amazing. I've got a question here. I'm gonna bring this question in from Carlos Gutzman. This is a question. Carlos Gutzman is a phenomenal drummer and production manager down in the Miami, Florida area, and he is production involved and drum tech for all these great drummers, Max Weinberg and Barry Gibb and that whole band with Lee Levin. I mean, he's just a phenomenal guy. But he says, Remy, being that your dad was so involved in the music business, did he ever sit down with you and warn you about the highs and lows about the business and what to watch out for? And and his next question is, what drew you to Mapex drums?
Okay. Yes.
Carlos, thank you.
That's a great question. The crazy thing is, I have a video of my father before he passed. Something was just like I wanted to ask my dad if he would be open to doing an interview because no one knew his story.
Yeah, yeah.
So he said yes. Usually he says no. I was like, okay, cool. And he sat down and he talked to me about the highs and lows of the industry. He said sometimes it can get really dirty. You have to know the business. You have to know the business, and it's never personal. It's definitely business. He talked about contracts, how sometimes you can get burned, and I've been burned before with a previous person who did PR for me. So we talked about that, how you really have to have your business together. Don't let anyone shortchange you. Know your worth, because sometimes when you're doing these tours, they may give you say, for example, you're doing a tour and you're going out for 3 or 4 months. They'll give you a low number, and it's just like, it's like, okay, I can't go that low. And sometimes you have to stand by it. And if it doesn't fit in what you want, then sometimes it's okay. I mean, if you can change it, then so be it. If it's something that you are okay with moving forward with, then so be it. It's like, okay, we can work that out. But if it's something where it's just like, I can't go back on this agreement, then you have to continue to move forward. Sometimes you have to say no in order to get the respect that you want in this music industry.
Absolutely, man. But that's a great advice. So, and you videotaped your dad saying this?
Yes. And it really stuck with me. It's so many things, so many stories, and I'm going to actually put it out. I have like small clips of it out now, but I haven't put the whole thing out. He has so many stories as far as him playing with the OJs and just how he started out. But yeah, as far as business, he told me a lot. He talked to me a lot about the highs and lows.
Listen, the OJs were huge, man. That band toured incredible, and I heard them live a couple times. I mean, it was just, just what they did in that story, and then they were put on the bill with the greatest, musicians in the world. I mean, the OJs were built with Diana Ross and Stevie Wonder. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that to witness that. So that's some great experience. That would be great video footage to have. And now that you're newly married, someday if you ever have children, you can now pass on that video to your children.
Absolutely. Oh, I definitely will. I have it locked away, ready to show them. So
that is fantastic. So now you're going on. So who was Vito the singer? Who was that?
Vito the singer, he's an R&B singer, really dope artist. And he actually was doing the same show as Jacob Lattimore. So it's pretty much the same situation as we had talked about earlier with my guy Drew calling and us playing for him for a couple shows. So it was really, it was short. It was a couple shows, but it wasn't anything that was permanent.
And when you're going there to learn their music, how do you learn the music? Do they send you recordings to learn? Is it a rehearsal? How does that all work out? How's it work for you?
So they usually send us like show tracks with the metronome in sometimes, or if they have any parts that they want us to change, they'll put it all into notes. And usually we get it about it depends on how professional it is. It could be a week before the show. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 days before the show. And I would just sit home and just learn it. Just learn all of it. And the crazy thing is I've been in situations where it's been like, okay, we have to learn this like by tomorrow. And it's been like 8 or 9 songs. And you just sit home, just learning everything. It's like, I can't leave the house. I'm just going to eat and everything here. So
listen, that's what it takes,
Yeah.
That's to be a professional and to be prepared. That's big time, man. Boy, good for you. So then, what happened with this big swing and the Ballroom Blasters? What kind of music was that?
So we are a band here in Atlanta, Georgia. My friend Jerry Freeman, he actually was one of the horn players for Earth, Wind & Fire. He has a band and we travel all over. And I still actually play with him today, and we play pretty much pop songs, all the top 20, 40 pop songs, and we just travel all over. We do tours, and we're a corporate band, so we play for weddings, we play for big parties, we play for artists, we do a lot of festivals as well. So yeah.
Boy, that's fantastic. So then the Ruth B.
Yes.
Where's that come in?
Ruth B, that was when I got endorsed with Mapex. Ruth B was the artist where she was the biggest tour that I've ever been on in 2016. And that's my sister. She's from Canada, and we went on tour. We opened up for Alessia Cara. I think that was about a 3 or 4 month tour. And I played for her for about, I believe, 2 or 3 years. And then after that, it moved up to St. Beauty.
How fantastic! So tell me about Summer Walker now. What's happening with Summer Walker? You're currently now.
Yes,
that's the latest. So what's happening with that?
Summer Walker is an amazing R&B artist, amazing R&B soul artist. She's from Atlanta, Georgia, as well. I've been playing for her for about 4 years now. Man, time flies. Yeah, about 4 years. And we started, our first show was in Miami. We did a festival. I think it was called the Love and Bay Festival, something in my Love and Bay Festival, but I think it was in Miami. And from there, I think that was like our audition to be like, okay, if we can do this show right, we'll have you around for the long run. And we never stopped playing. We've been touring ever since.
How fantastic! How fantastic! Well, you obviously delivered there. Yeah. So again, she gave you tunes to learn, and you had to go there and learn the tunes and put the time into it.
Yes. Now the dope thing about her is she loves soul music. So sometimes what she would do, perfect example, we did the BET Awards last year, and one of her songs is called "Come Through," and it's a pop R&B kind of song. But what she wanted to do, she wanted to make it soulful. So what she does is she gives the band, all she says, she's like, can we just make it a little soulful? Can we just put our own twist on it? And she gave us that creative room just to be free and just have a jam session. We'll just sit down and have a quick jam session. She was like, I like that. Yeah, let's do that for the BET Awards. And it's like, okay, cool. So it's a pretty dope experience with her as well.
How incredible to have that level of just fun playing music. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And the BET Award show, what was that like getting there and playing on that show? That's a huge show.
First off, it's always been a dream of mine. So being there, first off, rehearsing for it. When I'm in the moment, it's like, I don't really think about it. But I think when it was the day of showtime, and you see the screens and you see the setup, it's like, yeah, we're here. This is the BET Awards. Okay, cool. Yeah. This is I see the lights. This is what I see on TV. This is so it was, that's something that I will always remember. And I remember that was my first time actually meeting Usher as well. Really cool guy. We anytime we had to break to cut, the camera crew would have to do some edits or they would have to look over something. We would jam with Usher. We would just play some Marvin Gaye. It's like, let me see if y'all know this. And he would sing it and we'll just play along. He's like, okay, so y'all might be a band. I think you guys are a band. So it was incredible. That whole experience, man, was amazing.
What an listen, Usher is fantastic. So to have that experience is a whole nother world of what the potential is. Boy, beautiful. Good for you. Tell me about Mapex. I know you got some Mapex drums behind you here. What drums do you have behind you?
So I have the Mapex Saturn V kit. I have a 8, 10, 12, 16, 18 as far as toms. My kick, I have a 22-inch kick, and I have 3 Black Panther snares. I have a 14, I have a 13, and I have a 12.
Wow.
Yeah, this was actually my tour setup with Summer for the Over It tour.
Wow, fantastic. So joining, I want everyone to hear the story about how you joined and where your intensity came back from Mapex drums. This is a great story.
Yes. So when I was in high school, when I was in high school, I remember I wanted to be a part of the Mapex team. And the reason why I wanted to be a part, I remember seeing the drums. Daryl Robinson would have this show called SNL. And that was my first time seeing the Mapex drums. It was Sunday Night Live, and you have two drum sets, two Mapex drum setups. And I'm like, what is that? And it was like, it's a Mapex kit. So I remember going home. I didn't play for anybody. I wasn't doing anything. So I remember calling Joe. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in being part of the Mapex team. He was like, how old are you? Told him my age. And he said, well, you're not really old enough. He was like, who do you play for? I'm like, I don't play for anybody, but I want to be a part of I want to be a part of the team. And at this point, I didn't know what was going on. And he said, well, I tell you what. He said, when you play for somebody and you really get out there, you start, you get that exposure. He was like, give me a call and we'll work something out. And now years later, I'm sitting here doing an interview with you, Dom. And it's like, it's mind blowing because it's like, wow, years later, and I'm a part of the Mapex team. So it's incredible.
Well, you earned it for sure. And what's amazing is out of the mind of the great Joe Hibbs. As we talked about, Joe Hibbs was this just fantastic. It was a great drummer, Joe Hibbs. He was from Houston, Texas. And he had that Houston sound, that pocket sound. And there were many great drummers that came from Houston that are well-known drummers. Willie Ornelas, another top Houston-based drummer, worked out in LA for many years. And Tony Bronnagel, another great Houston drummer, also now working out in LA, playing with tons of people. And Joe was kind of in that group, and it just was phenomenal to hear Joe play. Joe ended up working at a drum shop. From the drum shop, he got a job working for Tama Drums. From Tama Drums, he ended up going to Mapex. And so I met Joe back in the late 70s. And he was he had an uncanny way of being able to see talent and potential. So he obviously saw something in you, Remy, that really kind of said, he said, this kid's got something. We're gonna get it at the point in time. So there it was, man, just fantastic.
Yeah, Joe was a cool guy, man. And I'm glad I got a chance to actually meet him,
It's the tail end of an era, I mean, Joe really was someone that just really kind of influenced everyone. Joe, had a great relationship with even people like Billy Cobham and Simon Phillips, all these great drummers. They all knew Joe and loved Joe. And Joe would tech for us and help us with the company stuff. So it was really pretty powerful to see. And as a Mapex guy, we did many things together, traveling around the world with Joe, finding young talent. And from what Joe saw in you, man, it just goes to further just verify the fact that Hibber, man, this guy really understood how to find good talent, man. Well, welcome to the family for sure.
Thank you. It's an honor being a part.
I love this line that you had. You wanted to create music to bring people into your world. You like creating music to kind of bring people into your world. Just talk about that for a moment.
Okay. So like I said earlier, I'm a producer, singer, and a songwriter. Yeah. And I feel like I've always wanted to give people an experience. Playing drums is just not you boom papping all over the place. It's actually you having a conversation. So I want to bring the people into what my mind is doing. It's like, okay, what does he hear? Yeah. What does he think about? Why did he do it that way? So when I play, I want to bring people into my world. I want them to, experience what's going on in my mind, Yeah.
Well, that's powerful. Now talk about, the singing and songwriting part of it. We're talking about you got your voice from your mom, which is fantastic.
Yes.
With the composition part, where did that all come from? And how do you compose?
Well, it started in college. I went to Wilberforce University, and I had my own label there. And I remember just getting a laptop, and I had just got Logic Pro. And at first, I just started making tracks, and I just kept writing over and over again every day. Just kept at it, and eventually I just got better and better. And I, of course, with my label, I would write songs for them. I would produce for them. Yeah. And with that, it pushed me to be better, to be consistent. And now I just wanted to take a step out on my artistry and just get better at it. And now here I am today. It's like I think it's working.
Yeah.
I think it's doing okay. So
it's absolutely working. I mean, you really have a great thing that you have built and that you are continuing to build on this year. You know, with now, and you're just recently married, so you entered into a whole other level of commitment. This is real commitment now, Remy.
Yes, yes, it is.
This is serious at this point. This is really putting your big boy pants on. I'll tell you something.
Oh my gosh! But I love it. Because it's pushing me to be a better man. It's she taught me patience. She taught me consistency. She's pushed me. She showed me. She's pushed me to just be the best version of me. And she's my mirror. So that's my baby.
That's absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you something. We've got people that have joined us on this call. This will go on. We've got people from Mexico, from Chile, from the UK. We've got people from, oh my gosh, we've got people from Florida. We've got Victoria from Kiev, Ukraine.
Okay, Victoria. All right.
Look at this here, man. So we got some people. We had Bruno Muse from Belgium has joined us. Bruno thinks he's in Antwerp, Belgium. I mean, you've got joined us here from some pretty distant places. So this is great that they were able to hear your voice and what you're saying. And I tell you something, I want people to find you. They can find you on Facebook, which is Remy.Williams on Facebook, Remy Williams. On YouTube, you've got Remy Williams, Twitter at Remy Williams, and Instagram is Remy Williams. So you've got all those people can do. I want people to go out there and check out all your social media stuff and follow Remy along the way and support him and welcome, Remy. You have done absolutely fantastic today.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you for having me on the show. I'm happy. I feel fantastic.
Good for you. Thank you so much. Well, on behalf of Mapex and All Access, I mean, we thank you so much. Keep going the way they are. Your drums, the way you're kicking and playing, man, is better than ever. So you are that next generation. So we want you to keep on going, stay well, stay safe, and hopefully at some point I'll get to meet you in person.
Absolutely. Thank you
so much, Remy. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic.